Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Chandra Wijananti, Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation Specialist. I will presenting about optimal positioning. This is optimal positioning. My name is Siti Chandra, came from Faculty of Medicine, University of Indonesia. I work in Persahabatan Hospital. This is my CV, the latest one. And I'm also a consultant in rehabilitation for cardiorespiratory disease. The introduction of my presentation, the critical illness correlate with multiple organ dysfunction and many disabling conditions. The critical illness challenges in ICU as being a temporary immobilized person, facing the critical illness polymyoneuropathy or CIPMN, the dysfunction of natural thoracic cage biomechanics, also the need of optimal positioning for lung recruitment and oxygenation. This is the breathing control. Just for reminding, the Hippocrates say that healing is the matter of time, but it's also the matter of opportunity. Professor Albert de Haas, in 1979, he is the founder of rehabilitation for cardiorespiratory, say that early recognizing of respiratory dysfunction is an extent of functional respiratory capability. So we have to understand earlier about the dysfunction of the respiratory. This is the pneumonia COVID-19. In the last 1 year, we are already well known about these pathologies. Regarding our rehabilitation, we are understanding that pneumonia with all the infiltrate with trap in the lung, so it will need a better oxygenation, a supportive approach from the rehabilitation team to help our colleagues in the ICU ward. This is chest wall kinetic. It is the movement of the chest wall, the movement of the thoracic wall while breathing instead of inspiration or expiration. I will explain in the next slide. Also, the correlation between each body part, the thoraco and abdominal part. Also, the effect of previous posture. No one already aware about the posture, such as chaotic person or malalignment in the spine, but the posture regarding all the movement of the chest wall kinetic has any effect to the movement of the lung. This is the trunk position and body fascia. We are all human body, not only human, surrounding by body fascia. Each part of us is not isolated. Any harm to any side of the body will affect the other side. Any harm of your shoulder, any harm into your pelvic girdle, any harm into your foot, head, or also harm into your hand will be affected other part of the body. Just a simple muscle tightness, a symbol of pain or itchy bone or joint, but it will affect the posture, and it's for prolonged posture will affect the thoracic movement also. And last, it will affect our greatest breathing muscle, which is called diaphragm. Understanding the diaphragm. This is the biggest muscle that God created to be the biggest muscle who have carrying the breathing, which carrying our breathing and correlate with other structures. Innervate with phrenigus, also sparing from vagus and under intercostal nerve, and the dysfunction of it because of the Vedic, because the diaphragm is already forceful enough to be moved to make a lung inflate, to assess breathing. Then also the dysfunction will happen if there is an alter of lung tissue or lung biomechanic related with the chest wall. If the muscle tissues due to immobilization also will affect the diaphragm, and the lack of gravity effect also affected the diaphragm also, because diaphragm will be movement upward, downward, and related to gravity effect. This is the inspiration or inhale processes. Before the inspiration, we all know that diaphragm is relaxing. Then the inspiratory began. The dome of the diaphragm contracted. Also, with all the involvement of the thoracic cage, made the diaphragm downward and inflate the lung. That's the inspiration. That's until expiration is following the inspiratory phase. Expiration is exhaling. The exhaling is passive because recoil of the lung, recoil of the diaphragm after stretching, relaxation. But if the diaphragm already overstretched, it cannot be relaxed, just like our other muscle. If the relaxation cannot be good, just like us, if we do not get enough relaxation, the stressful diaphragm will be deteriorated and the dysfunction due to fatigue will be against. Our rehabilitation strategy is preventing immobilization. Do the early mobilization team as soon as possible. We have to give mobilization to the patient, not just only movement inside the bed, but also we have to need how to do the movement outside the bed. At the early beginning, we have to support the breathing muscle. So optimal positioning we do due to the literature. First one is prone, then modified prone. Also, we do the diaphragm stimulation. We can do a manual stretch. We put our hand at the diaphragm insertion, then giving like a palpation or sensory stimulation with pressure, and also give the gravity effect. We can do with the tilting table. We can do with rotation bed to have the gravity effect to the patient, even the patient is unconscious. This is patient positioning in critical illness. We already well known about the proning, then the supine, right lateral recumbent, then left lateral recumbent, hollow position, and Trendelenburg. That will be done with the help of the reclining bed. But the latest one, the proning is the most done for the oxygenation. We will let know on the after this slide. This is some of the systematic review of the meta-analysis of the semi-recumbent position that not many research done for this position. So the semi-recumbent position has moderate effect only for the patient in ICU care. The lateral positioning has better, but only simple or several research done about the lateral positioning. We have to know that this positioning is part of the mobilization at the beginning for the patient admitted into the critical ill ward or in ICU ward. From JAMA, we know the use of prone positioning in non-intubated patients with COVID-19 and hypoxemic acute respiratory failure. From this figure, we know that during a prone position, there is an increase of oxygenation, and it's better while the patient do the proning only in 1 to 2 hours. So in other reference, we say that if the patient able to do 12 hours daily, it will be enhancing the oxygenation of the patient. This journal say that awake proning will be improve oxygenation and decrease mortality. So prone the patient while awake as soon as possible to have improve of oxygenation, and the latest one is decrease mortality and occupied of the ICU ward. Consideration in positioning. We need to have a stable or under supervised hypodynamic patient in ICU setting. We have a work as a team. Working as a team in ICU supportive care. Many things must be noticed. And this journal say that while we do a proning, some of the cases there is regarding of the process, we know that there is unplanned central catheter removal during prone positioning. So every line must be considered and well noticed before we do the positioning. This is prone in RDS patient. We know we have to get support below and above of the diaphragm, so the diaphragm can move well and the oxygenation will be better because the oxygen take part at the dorsal part of the body. Our job in respiratory rehabilitation ward, we do a proning as soon as possible. We educate the posture correction. We try as hard as we can to do the earlier breathing exercise, the chest expansion exercise related, the restriction will be done after the COVID. Then we have to do the energy conservation for the patient, the respiratory muscle training, and also general endurance. But it's related to comorbid or other respiratory condition previously. As a summary, optimal positioning such as a prone or modified prone are well enough to support the patient oxygenation during critical illness. But the mobilization key of success, also the optimal positioning key of success, is related with an ICU team, and the rehabilitation staff is a part of ICU team, which can do a better collaboration as a better success for patient continue of care. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.